Alright, CNT120, we are going to work on our Chapter 1 lab. So first thing we want to do, on our content page, open the Chapter 1 folder. There's our read section, there's our watch section. I'm going to keep going. Down here into the do section, there should be a folder for lab. We'll open that guy up. And what we'll find in here is the direction page for the lab, the packet tracer file, and then our podcast of me doing the whole lab that you could follow along with. So the first thing we'll do, download the lab direction page. So this will open as a Google Doc, if you will. Once it's open, it's usually handy to download this like a PDF or something like that. So do your file download here. File download. Download as PDF. I've downloaded mine already, and I actually open it up here. I have it ready to go in the background. The next thing we'll do, I'll go back out here to the online lab folder. Next thing we'll do is download the packet tracer file. Now when you click on this, D2L doesn't understand this file, so it's just like, whatever. So just download, click that download there. That'll download to your downloads folder. So I'm going to go to my downloads folder. There's the lab file, and then here's the packet tracer file. So that is there ready to go. The remainder of the links out here are the podcasts of me doing the lab. For many people, it's handy, especially if you have two monitors. Maybe put the directions and packet tracer file on one monitor and the videos of me, the podcast of me doing the lab on the other monitor. And you can kind of follow along and do the lab with me. For a lot of people, that works handy. If not, you can toggle between windows on your one desktop. But if you have two monitors, it's really handy. The last thing you'll find down here is the Dropbox for submitting the lab when you're done. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is, again, I've already loaded my lab direction page. Here it is. I've actually launched my packet tracer and logged in, but I didn't do anything with it. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to open that packet tracer file. So I'll use the folder open button here, and I'll browse to the downloads and look for that online lab, Chapter 1 packet tracer file, and I'll open it. It kind of works a little bit better if you actually launch packet tracer and then launch that, or then find that file and open it. Alright, so here is our packet tracer window. What we have is a basic network. This is simulating the equipment at, the Harrisburg office of the company, and then over here on the right, the equipment at the Philadelphia office of the company, and then there's a WAN link connecting the two. That's what we're simulating. The Harrisburg office has a couple basic pieces of equipment. Philly has that plus a little bit more, a couple servers over here. So that's kind of what we're seeing on this setup. Now, what we're going to do for our Chapter 1 lab is we're going to go through and try to touch on the different layers of the OSI model. Try to make some sense of this OSI model thing that you read about. The OSI model is very conceptual, so until you make some connections to real things in a network, they just remain conceptual. So we're going to try to do that. So first section of lab here, layer 1. The physical layer is really that connection, the physical connection into the network, if you will, whether it be a copper cable, fiber cable, or it could be a radio frequency wireless connection. That would be my link into the network. That is my physical layer, if you will. So what we're going to is in the logical view, we're going to take a look, and that's kind of what we did over here. We have the Harrisburg side, Philadelphia side. We're now going to move into the physical side of this program. This is the logical showing the routers and switches. That'll make a little more sense in Chapter 2 because they talk about physical and logical and those kind of things. And actually, they introduce it in Chapter 1 with you a little bit too, physical and logical topologies. We're going to go to the physical side over here, and this actually shows the Harrisburg office and the Philadelphia office connected by that fiber link. We're going to open the Harrisburg office, or I should say go to the Harrisburg City, then we're going to open the Harrisburg office, and we now see this is kind of like a blueprint of the building with different rooms. We have a closet here, and we have a couple workstations over here in this one office. Feel free to zoom in or out so your things can be seen a little bit better. Okay, they have the plus minus zoom in and out up here. So now that we have with physical tab, we're into the Harrisburg City, we're into the corporate office. We see the wiring closet, we see the laptop PC, and we see the wall mount outlet box. That'd be the box mounted on the wall that workstations plug into. So Harrisburg laptop, we are going to cable this in to the network. It's actually going to take two cables. We're going to do a cable from the laptop here to the outlet, and then we literally need to go to the closet and finish the connection. So first thing we'll do is we're going to use the connections button down here and grab a copper straight through cable. So down the bottom bar is kind of like our menu of different areas. If I click on one of these, this brings up the end devices. If I bring up this brings up the different connections. So we're going to use that little lightning bolt, and this tells us, this now opens up the menu of different connections we can use. We are going to use the straight through cable here. This is the black line. It's not dotted, just a straight black line. And we're going to click on that, and you notice my little pointer looks like a little cable that we're going to plug in. We're going to plug that patch cable into the back of the laptop into the fast Ethernet port. That is the actual network port. It actually tries to show you a little icon there that looks like the network port on your computer. We're going to drag it over to the outlet box. We're going to click on top of it. And we are going to pick jack 1. We're going to pick jack 1. That's the first open jack. Now, what you see here is this is the side we would plug into. This over here is the back side. That would be inside the outlet box that gets used to cable this into the network. This is something our cabling students in CNT120 do. They actually punch the wires and everything in. You notice they're grayed out because they've already been punched in. That's what's actually showing up on these black lines right here. So again, I'm going to click on that box and I'm going to click on jack 1, and it shows it connected. But it shows there's a little red triangle, meaning there's no link yet. That's right, we need to finish the connection in the closet. So we're now going to move into the closet. I'm going to click on the closet, and we're now going to get a patch cable and finish patching this in. So I'm going to click on the closet, and again, feel free to zoom in and out a little bit if you want. I see a rack of equipment here. There's a table here. There's a shelf over here. There's a couple cables hanging on the wall. I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and I see now here's like basically outlets for power. Here is the router at this site. Here's the switch at this site, and here's the patch panel for this site. Well, that outlet box on the wall cables into the back of this patch panel. So we now need to take a cable from the patch panel into the switch. This is how wiring closets look in buildings, like schools or office buildings. So I'm again going to select the straight through patch cable, and I'm going to go from this jack 1 over to the switch into port 1. It's called Fast Ethernet 0/1. The /1, that's port 1. Now that connection from that user is cabled into the switch. And I actually do start seeing little link lights show up, which is kind of cool. I'm going to continue this and cable up the other jacks out in that office while I'm here. So I'm going to, oops, I accidentally clicked there. Continue with another straight through cable into jack 2, which is right below it. I'm going to go jack 3 here to switch port 3, which is up top on the next row, actually next column. And here's jack 4, and then there's the switch port. Now you'll notice there's no link lights on those because there's nothing plugged into them yet in the office. It was only that first port that we have anything plugged in. However, these are ready to go when I cable in the other computer out there in the office. If I would like to, I can, down here I show you, if you'd like to, you can manage all cables. If I right click on top of the switch here, I get an option that says manage all cables. If I click on that, it hides them all the way and makes them neat. So if you want it to look neat, go for that. If not, I'm going to right click on the switch again and do unmanage. And it shows all the patch cables hanging out, which is fine. Alright, so we have the connection done in the work area, and now we have a connection done in the closet. So let's now look at, we're going to use the arrow up here on the top bar, this one right here. It looks like a little, kind of like a U-turn. We're going to back out one level. If we look at this laptop out in the office area now, we see a green link light. Since we have finished the connection in the closet, there's a full path now from this PC through the patch cable, through the box, through this cabling that's called horizontal cabling that's normally installed above the ceilings, into the closet, into the patch panel, and then that patch cable into the switch. There's a full path now from this laptop into the switch. And this is how wiring in businesses and schools and things like that are done. This is how it's done. So this packet tracer allows us to simulate all that, which is kind of cool. All right, let's go back to the logical tab. Back to the logical tab. I should now see a full connection between the switch and the laptop here. Between the switch and the laptop. If by chance when you get out here, this link looks a little goofy. It looks like it's not connected up to anything. Just gently kind of move the laptop around and that should snap back into place. Every now and then it happens. Every now and then it happens when you go from physical to logical. That connection looks odd. So just carefully just move the laptop a little bit, put it back, and it'll snap into place for you. All right, there is my layer 1 connection for the laptop. So that is literally the layer 1 connection for a workstation in a business environment. And again, if I go back here to the physical, there's literally a patch cable here to connect to the wall. There's cabling that normally goes up the wall, above the ceiling, down the hall, and into a closet. That cabling comes into the back of this patch panel, and then we grab another patch cable and go from the patch panel into the switch port. And this patch panel gives us a point that we can decide where we want to connect that workstation. It might be on this switch, it might be on another switch. So that gives us that connection point. So there's my layer 1 connection. I'm going to go back here to logical. So there's layer 1 on my network. When I come back in the next podcast, we'll move on to layer 2 and we'll deal with this computer.